I call the September 28, 2022 meeting of the Philadelphia City Commissioners to order. First, I will preserve the order and decorum of these meetings. Everyone in attendance should be on notice that shouting out or interrupting the proceedings will not be tolerated. Those who violate this will be asked to leave. The Sunshine Act permits anyone attending a public meeting to object to a perceived violation at any time during the meeting. If you choose to do so, please succinctly state your objection. Objecting is not an opportunity for speech making. We will now move to public comment. Commenters shall state where they live, or if they are not a resident of Philadelphia, that they are a Philadelphia taxpayer. Public comment is not an opportunity for dialogue or Q&A. It is public comment, a chance for you to tell us what you think. Each speaker shall have 2 minutes. However, I may extend this time at my discretion. All public comments must be relevant or germane to board business. Finally, it is my responsibility to preserve the order and decorum of the meetings. As such, profane, slanderous, discriminatory, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. Please note that we will be doing polling place changes later in the meeting, so anyone wishing to be heard on polling place changes should wait until that time. Is there anyone here for public comment? Please come forward. Come. Please say your name for the record and proceed.
Sure, my name is Andrew Toy. I'm here to testify regarding the language access expansion. Greetings, honorable city commissioners. My name is Andy Toy, and I'm here to support your motion to expand language access for Philadelphia citizens with limited English proficiency, representing significant numbers of people in our city. As a member of Citizens for Language Access and a founder of United Voices for Philadelphia, I have been engaged in this work for many years and have seen how more citizens become engaged and vote when we are able to reach them where they are. As someone who grew up in a bilingual household with a grandmother who did not speak English, I understand the importance of language access. And in recent years, at the nonprofit community organization CMAC, we were able to register and get people to vote because they had information in the most comfortable language. We know that even sometimes the ballot is confusing in English. Sometimes even the plain language version of ballot questions confuses those of us whose first language is English. Imagine if English is your second or third language. This is why the commissioner's commitment to reaching more voters and potential voters in their main language is important. We know that even in the best of times, we can struggle to get just half of the city to turn out to vote. We need to make every effort to engage and help people to understand the value of voting and how the process works. I've seen that people with limited English proficiency can be intimidated to going out to vote. So the easier and more transparent we make the process, the more we will bring out additional voters, which I know is our common goal. We know reaching out in preferred languages works from studies in other cities, but also our own experience in Philadelphia. At CMAC a few years ago, we mailed information about the upcoming election to a number of registered voters in their first languages. We were able to show a significant increase in turnout rate among those we sent the materials to. We know the commissioner's efforts will result in a better informed, more engaged, and increased voting electorate. I applaud the commissioners and your staff for taking a steady phased approach to increasing access to other languages beyond Spanish and Chinese, which are already required by the Voting Rights Act in Philadelphia. We want to help the commissioners to do the work efficiently and effectively, starting with what we know as the largest number of limited English proficiency speakers and doing what makes the most sense to reach out to people without breaking the bank.
Thank you.
And finally, thank you again for working with the many organizations and advocates for this work. And we are anxious to be part of the Language Access Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Marianne Schneider. Good morning, Chair Deeley, Commissioner Bluestein, and Commissioner Sabir. My name is Marianne Schneider. I'm the Senior Voting Rights Policy Counsel at the ACLU of Pennsylvania. Thank you for considering the resolution to expand language access that Commissioner Bluestein introduced last week, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name. The ACLU of Pennsylvania applauds this step and urges you to approve the resolution today. Given the increase in funding to the City Commissioner's Office in the most recent city budget, we urge you to use those resources for the laudable purpose of increasing language accessibility in Philadelphia. We have known for a long time that a critical need for language assistance exists in Philadelphia over and above the Spanish and Chinese languages for which Philadelphia has met or exceeded the threshold for federally mandated language accessibility. We know that language barriers to civic participation are real and the lived experience of tens of thousands of Philadelphia citizens. That's why we fully support this resolution that will provide certain critical and necessary information to citizens who speak Russian, Vietnamese, Khmer, Arabic, Haitian Creole, or Portuguese. We also fully support the public release of election and voting data related to language assistance usage in Philadelphia. Analysis of data will allow assessment of the effectiveness of the program and suggest areas for improvement. Finally, we want to underscore the importance of the establishment of a new language access advisory committee comprised of community stakeholders. We believe that such a committee is a critical component of a successful program and will also enhance Philadelphia's current efforts to provide mandated language accessibility. We know that the current resolution is a first step and that more work needs to be done, but this is an incredibly important first step, and we urge you to adopt the resolution today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Thank you. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good morning. My name is Marcos Lomeli. I'm a resident of West Philly and the program director at CEIBA, a coalition of Latino community-based organizations, and a member of the Citizens for Language Access Coalition. We thank the city commissioners for taking up this important discussion on language access, and we would also like to congratulate your office on the successful execution of an election integrating Chinese and Spanish, the languages covered by Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act. CEIBA supports the language access expansion motion and respectfully requests that the city commissioners pass it immediately. Passage of this motion will empower the more than 40,000 Philadelphia citizens who speak a language other than English, Spanish, and Chinese to participate fully in the civic and democratic process. Philadelphia is known as a city of firsts, but when it comes to language access, we are far behind. Other large metropolitan areas such as Cook County in Illinois and Los Angeles County in California have successfully enfranchised their citizenry by expanding language access beyond minimum federal requirements. Philadelphia must step up to the challenge and do the same. Such a challenge requires partnerships between the city and community groups. A rising tide lifts all ships. These partnerships can help identify language needs on the ground, assess the scale of needed resources, evaluate the quality of written translations, disseminate information, combat misinformation, and recruit much needed bilingual poll workers and interpreters. The motion would expand language access to 6 additional languages. We recognize that this is no easy task, and I have no doubt that each of you is already thinking of all of the hundreds of things that would need to be done in order to enact this expansion perfectly. But please do not let perfect be the enemy of good. The challenges of making elections accessible in additional languages should not be a reason to not do it, but a reason to join a partnership with other local government offices and the community groups speaking before you today. Philadelphia has been a bastion of democracy in our country from the Declaration of Independence to the successful execution of the 2020 election, the craziest election in our city's history. By passing this motion and enfranchising tens of thousands of our family, friends, and neighbors, you can ensure that Philadelphia remains that bastion of democracy for decades to come. Thank you for your time, and please consider passing this motion.
Thank you. Good morning. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Marianne, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the Office of Immigrant Affairs. On behalf of the Office of Immigrant Affairs, OIA, I would like to express our support to Commissioner Bluestein's motion for language access expansion. The proposed expansion of certain services and materials in additional 6 languages for a total of 9, including English, Spanish, and Chinese, shows the commitment of the City Commissioner's Office towards our linguistically diverse residents, and we are in support of all efforts in that direction. OIA's mission is to promote the well-being of immigrants, refugees, and asylees in the city of Philadelphia. And among the many ways we do this is by managing and overseeing the Language Access PHilly program and designing and launching language access inclusion projects. In 2020, OIA created a multilingual mail ballot resource guide in partnership with the City Commissioner's Office and community leaders, which was a very welcome resource to all voters, regardless of the languages they spoke. Most recently, OIA has worked with Philly counties and community partners to produce an updated voter education guide that will also be available in several different languages. We are committed to language expansion initiatives because we know there is a growing population of naturalized citizens in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia voters are multilingual, speaking languages beyond English. OIA would like to thank City Commissioner's Office for meeting with and listening to the Citizens for Language Access group for over 3 years to explore options for supporting Philadelphia voters who are dominant in languages other than English. The languages identified in the proposal align with the citywide data for translation and interpretation requests that OIA monitors, and with the special projects led by OIA, including the Translation Expansion Project for Phila.gov, funded by the Operation Transformation Fund, that aims to improve quality of translations in 9 languages and welcomes feedback for improved multilingual communications. We look forward to continuing to partner with City Commissioner's Office to ensure voters can access the ballot no matter what language they speak. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Please come forward. Hi, state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Deborah Hinchey. I live in West Philadelphia, and I'm here to urge the Commission to pass the language access policy. The freedom to vote is at the heart of our democracy. I'm speaking on behalf of All Voting is Local, a nonpartisan civic organization committed to protecting and expanding ballot access for all Americans. We work to prevent barriers to voting before they happen, to protect our democracy and uphold voting rights for every American, so that we can have a democracy that is truly reflective of its strength and diversity toward an America that works for all of us. And that is very obvious in the city of Philadelphia. Language is power. It can determine whether a person or a community has access to or is shut out of the decision-making processes, persons, resources, information, and services. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, between 47,000 and 87,000 Philadelphia citizens of voting age are limited in English proficiency and would benefit from expanded language access. Philadelphia is lucky to be home to so many immigrant communities, and over the past decade especially has seen an influx of refugees and others seeking opportunity and a better life in our city. And while immigrants strengthen Philadelphia with new skills and drive for success, there's a gap in language capacity for the thousands of new Americans and new Philadelphians that is a significant barrier to the ballot. We know that you guys recognize this issue. Today's motion serves as a step forward in achieving language justice for those communities, and we urge a unanimous vote urgently in favor of upholding all citizens' fundamental rights to vote. We know that this is a hard thing to ask, but we also know that you guys have proven that you can rise to this occasion over the last 5 years. We look forward to supporting the process of language access expansion towards achieving equal access to the ballot in the languages that Philadelphians speak. Thank you for your support and for everything you've done.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Please step forward. Good morning.
Good morning.
State your name for the
Maybe the
record.
last one. Pat Christmas, Policy Director for the Community Savvy. It's a pleasure to be back at one of our regular Sunshine meetings. My comments are going to be very brief, especially because of all the other stakeholder comments that have already been submitted. I'm here just to express thanks to the Office of the City Commissioners for keeping open lines of communication over the past several years during this iteration of work and discussion around language access. When this began in 2018 or 19, somewhere around then, we got disrupted just a bit by Act 77 in 2019, a pandemic in 2020, and then a presidential election that kept all of us pretty busy. So we very much appreciate the work that is continued through, despite those very difficult several years. And of the resolution put forward by Commissioner Bluestein, I'm especially pleased and excited about two points in it. Number one, it takes advantage of the mail-in voting option, right? That's available to any registered voter now, and that someone can vote a ballot from the comfort of their home in any language that they feel comfortable with. Number one. And number two, the advisory committee that they would set up. I'm confident will be a terrific vehicle for ongoing discussions, both to sharpen up the plan that's already in place and potential adjustments in the months and years ahead. So thank you again so much, and look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Hearing none, we will now move to Commissioner Bluestein for email public comment.
You'll know email public comments by 9:45 a.m.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will now proceed to old business, and I will call on Joe Lynch to read his report as Executive Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Joe.
Today's Sunshine Report, the report from the County Board of Elections. For those interested in running for office of City Council, large pertinent nomination paperwork must be filed by 5 p.m. on Friday, September 30th. Each vacancy is treated separately. Nominees for council at large, one will vie against each other, and nominees for council at large, two will vie against each other in separate special elections. As of yesterday, the county board has approved 118,035 vote by mail applications, which is 4,136 added from last week's total. Of those, 77,740 are paper applications and 40,295 are electronic applications. This including civilian, overseas, military, and permanent ballot voters who have applied in the primary. Ballot application processing is called up through Friday. There are approximately 1,164 paper applications and 194 electronic applications waiting to be processed. They have sent out 855 UOCAVA ballots by September 20, since September 24th, or by September 4th, as required by law. The voter registration unit for the election cycle to date, they have processed 148,115 registration applications, of which 58,300 were paper applications. On September 27th, they received 2,408 applications, which both the DPU rooms are working on. Documents unit is working on appeal applications. Correspondent unit is working on cancellations and assisting with voter registration applications. This week, they mailed out 16,389 ID cards for a total of 93,820. The election board unit confirmed numbers for work in the polls to date is 4,123. Voicemails that were left with potential workers were up to 319. So far, people that don't want to work the polls are up to 113. Scheduled, there's 1,679 scheduled for the upcoming training, and confirmed for taking in-person training. That means the class is 682. And online training, there was 806 poll workers were trained. That's all I have.
Thank you, Joe. We will now move on to new business with Charlie Stroman and polling place relocations. But before Charlie comes up, is there anyone here to speak about a polling place relocation? Okay, seeing none, we'll now call on Charlie Stroman for polling place relocations.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Just a little summary of the polling place unit. We continue to fill the voids with refusals as well as proposed moves. We're moving at a very rapid pace, and I don't see any problem being finalized by the 19th of October. I only have one change for today. We'll be in the 15th Ward, 15th Division, moving from the Masterman School to the Tustin Rec Center, and that's moving it back into the ward.
Thank you. Signs?
Signs are all. Yeah, signs are all.
I motion that we approve the proposed move 15th Ward, 15th Division from Masterman School to Clemente Recreation Center.
Second.
Commissioner Bluestein, please call a roll.
Commissioner Deeley.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Sabir.
Aye.
The motion to change for polling place change 15th Ward, 15th Division has passed unanimously. I would like to make a motion. I'm sorry, I call Commissioner Bluestein for a motion.
Thank you, Chairwoman. For the past few years, the city commissioners have worked closely with the advocacy community to determine the best path forward to expand language access services for Philadelphia voters who have limited English proficiency, known as LEP voters. Now that we have successfully held an election integrating Chinese alongside Spanish, languages covered by Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act, I believe we can responsibly expand some of our services to additional languages using Census Bureau data and quantifiable thresholds. Therefore, I move that the City Commissioners expand the language access services provided to Philadelphia voters as detailed below. In addition to English, Spanish, and Chinese, the Office of the City Commissioners will begin to provide certain services and materials in other commonly spoken languages in Philadelphia, identified through an analysis of Census Bureau data, consultation with the Office of Immigrant Affairs, and the convening of a new Language Access Advisory Committee of local stakeholders. The Language Access Advisory Committee shall be organized by the Deputy Commissioners with the purpose of providing regular advice and feedback to the Office of the City Commissioners on its language access program, including the timing, implementation, and evaluation of expanded services and materials. The committee shall begin meeting in 2023 and will meet at least 4 times a year, once before and once after each regularly scheduled primary and general. Based on our preliminary review of the data, there will be an initial expansion of voting services and materials no later than the 2023 primary in Russian, Vietnamese, Khmer, Arabic, Haitian Creole, and Portuguese that may include, but does not have to be limited to, the following: voter outreach materials that can be posted to vote.phila.gov and be made available for pickup by individuals or organizations when feasible, a vote here sign outside of polling places, a language assistance sign inside of polling places addressing the right to voter assistance and language assistance hotline service, an official translation of offices on the ballot and ballot questions, and bilingual poll worker and interpreter badges that identify the language the poll worker or interpreter speaks where applicable. The Office of the City Commissioners will engage with the Pennsylvania Department of State to have their voter registration applications and mail-in ballot applications translated into the identified languages. When new Census Bureau data are available, the Deputy Commissioners, in consultation with the Office of Immigrant Affairs and the Language Access Advisory Committee, shall determine how and when the language access program should be expanded going forward. This policy and any future changes shall be documented in the Language Access Plan and the Language Access Annual Report to the Office of Immigrant Affairs. The Deputy Commissioners shall also provide a report to the Board of Elections with the following information after each election: the number of ballots cast on the Express Vote XL by language and division, number of voter registration application forms submitted by language and division when it is possible to track that information with a new Sure Vote system, and the number of mail ballots requested and or cast by language and division, also when possible to track with the new Sure Vote system. What I want people to take away from this motion is that these voters matter, that their votes matter, and that we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that eligible Philadelphians are able to register and registered voters are able to vote. Thank you.
Second. Commissioner Bluestein, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deeley.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Sabir.
I just wanted the deputies. We can't do this right now. I guess whatever the budgetary impact is going to have, that we're going to know to shake the can for it. I'll do this.
The motion, Commissioner Bluestein's motion expanding language access has passed unanimously. I have a motion as well. I motion that we authorize the deputies to schedule mobile manned drop-off events. The information on the events shall be posted on the website and announced at the next public meeting of the board following the announcement of the schedule.
Second.
Commissioner Bluestein, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deeley.
Aye.
I vote aye. Commissioner Sabir.
All right.
The motion authorizing the deputies to schedule mobile drop-off events has passed unanimously. Commissioner Bluestein, do you have any items to be added to the agenda?
I have none.
Commissioner Sabir, do you have any items to be added to the agenda?
I just wanted to congratulate Seth Bluestein on his first motion. It was a lot of hard work. Good job.
Thank you.
Concur. With no items remaining on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned to the call of the chair. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. Really appreciate it.